Welcome back to the Advisor AI Solutions podcast, where we spotlight the founders, builders, engineers, and innovators shaping the future of sustainable construction, electrification, and the modern built world. So, smart homes, sustainable power systems, and full electrification are no longer future concepts. They're actually happening right now. And behind the scenes, companies like TransElectric are solving the hidden challenges most homeowners and builders never see. Today, we're joined by someone leading that transformation. Charles Wilson, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. So I've been excited for this conversation because very few companies really understand the future of home energy and electrification as clearly as TransElectric. Um, so, Chuck, if we can, let's start at the beginning. How did TransElectric begin, and what exactly were the problems you originally set out to solve for homeowners, builders, and communities, really?
It actually started on my mom's porch. She was actually dying of pancreatic cancer, and she was bitching about the power bill. And I just was like, okay, let's see what we can do. So I just sat on her porch and just started thinking, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And it just started coming to me. I mean, it was some of it's based off a ninth grade science project I did. That's how we got the electrolysis that burns the hydrogen and oxygen to produce power. I originally designed HEFTEG to be for each home, but then we just kind of expanded and said, well, we can make it utility scale. Why not? It's clean. Then we added in the solar panel part, and it just kind of took off from there. We applied for a patent. Patent came through, and now we hold the patent on the hydroelectrolysis fuel thermal electricity generation system and method. The nice thing is the way they did the patent is that we hold the method also, not just the process, not just the design. It's true clean energy. It really is a solution. And I'm not trying to sell people on it. It's just simply it's the next thing. And it needs to happen. I mean, people are paying too much for home power, whatever it may be. We got to do something. So people are going broke. I mean, even where I live, my landlord, his power bill's like $40,000 a month. So it's a way of reducing costs. It's a way of people taking control of their bills.
Right, right. Okay, so Chuck, you know, interesting way how the initial concept was conceived. Um, but I kind of wanted to ask you about something that might seem or sound very technical, or as you were discussing it. But in your own words, for someone who has no idea what HEFTEG really is, could you kind of give us a little bit of a breakdown on what exactly it is and how it works?
Sure. A HEFTEG is basically it's a self-fueling energy generation system. It takes solar power. That's actually what produces the power for the electrolysis portion. The electrolysis portion produces the fuel for the thermal reaction. The thermal reaction turns it into steam. Steam turns a turbine. Boom, you've got power. We eliminated the intermittent. I'll get it out. Portion because it's always producing more gas than what's being used. So you store that for nocturnal use. It's a self-contained system. It's very, very simple. It's a very simple design. What we've come up, everybody wants the Ferrari. What we designed is a Chevy. It just works.
That's
That's
awesome.
really, I mean, that's all there is to it. There's no magic to it. It literally is ninth grade science. I did this science project in ninth grade to produce hydrogen and oxygen. I don't know where you went to high school, but we had this in our science class. We did this experiment where, you got to produce hydrogen and oxygen through electrolysis using a 9-volt battery. And it's the only time we were allowed to play with a lighter in school. So, um, And that just, we took it from there and it just took off. It just was like, wow, this really works. Then I found out we actually have a hydrogen market. I'm like, well, since we designed it as pods for the electrolysis part, we can design it, we can scale it out as big as we want. So you can always produce more hydrogen. Then you can sell the hydrogen. Turns out there's actually a shortage of medical grade oxygen. Well, that produces that too. So there's three commodities you're going to get from HEFTEG: clean energy, clean hydrogen, and medical grade oxygen. It's that simple. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the ones everybody goes, huh? So
That's amazing.
it can't be that easy. It just can't be that easy. And it really is that easy.
That's so fascinating how you're able to not just want to be able to create, a massive amount of clean energy, but then also to have the byproducts as well that come from it.
It just developed. I mean, we're using hydrogen and oxygen, and the majority of, let's take a gas-fired um, power plant or whatever. That usually burns at like 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. We burn around 5,000 degrees, so we're almost double the heat. Well, heat is energy. So if you can transfer that into the water, you can actually run two generators off one heat source. Whereas you, like a nuclear energy, it's always a 1-to-1. One nuclear pile with one generator. So you're doubling what you can get. The problem's going to come down to the grid. Will the grid take it? We can produce all we want. I mean, we can come up with these great ideas, but if the grid's not going to take it, then what's the point? But I'm
Absolutely.
from I keep my ear to the ground on that one, and they're really making a big effort to boost up the grid,
Right,
which is
right.
good to see.
Okay. So, Chuck, what has your experience been working on these next generation energy projects? And how are they shaping the way your clients build and operate their facilities?
We're right now we're Our entire business model is to license the IP itself. We've only been in business less than 3 years. Um, I'm a very small voice in a very loud room. Um, Sometimes a whisper can carry more than a scream. So we're more about attraction than promoting. I don't do a lot of these podcasts. I just don't. It's it's more they need to come to me, then we can talk. I'm probably off base on it, but everybody now is focused on fossil fuels and nuclear. Now I use LinkedIn for most of my advertising, but you can point out all day, oh, nuclear's this, nuclear's that, fossil fuel, clean coal, whatever it may be. That's all bullshit. And we all know it is bullshit. I mean, you're never going to make a profit off of nuclear ever. And as for coal, it should have been dead a long time ago. It just shouldn't. But it's almost, I was watching this special about how Wall Street got addicted to free money from the government. And this is like back in 2015 or so, or whatever. And that's where our energy market is now, is we're addicted to federal funding. If you're not doing nuclear and you're not doing fossil fuel, you're not going to get the money. And we need to get back to where the big players have to invest. There's just no other way around it. You can follow the federal funding until, the political winds change. And then where are you at? I mean, everybody jumped on board when Biden was in office and they were throwing money left and right. Let's throw spaghetti and see if it produces power. Well, that's great, but that was just stupid. It's We need a solution, and we need it. Big business is going to have to invest. Look at the light bulb. Light bulb wasn't funded by federal money. Neither was the automobile, the telephone, or any of it. But we're at this point where it's almost like when it was the buggy and the horse and the car. We're either going to do it this way or we're going to do it this way, and we can't keep doing the same thing the same way and go, oh, I'm so shocked that Miami Beach is flooded. I've lived in Florida all my life. I've lived in South Florida almost majority of it. It used to be no flooding. Then it was, oh well, every king tide it flooded. Now it floods in a rainstorm. And I'm talking maybe 30 years ago, people came from around the world to look at our drainage system because we never flooded. Now suddenly we do. HEFTEG was started, yeah, everybody wants to make a profit, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I actually really want to change how we do things. And it's a completely different approach. It's not all about the money, it's about really affecting change.
No, you're so right, Chuck. And several of our guests on our show who are showing serious innovation, whether it's in construction, whether it's in drainage systems, things like that. It seems like there's always a reluctance on change and being able to access these higher ups to really influence the movement forward.
It, yeah, I mean, it's a lobbyist. There's this, there's that. It's billions of dollars. Trying to unseat the oil industry is like trying to move the church. I don't know. It's hard. It's definitely a David and Goliath situation. But in the back of my head, I go, look how that turned out.
Right,
So
right. Okay. So
it's
Chuck,
getting
just to
done.
kind
It's just not getting done as fast as I thought it would.
no, it
Come
definitely
on, man. I
takes
want instantaneous stuff. I'm supposed to be in my yacht by now. So,
it's coming. It's coming, Chuck. Okay, so if we were just to kind of pivot for a second and think about more, individual homes, a modern home right now, in your opinion, right now, Chuck, um, our modern homes look like they're no longer a simple load center. They are becoming a more integrated energy ecosystem with EV charging, solar, battery storage, heat pumps, automations.
all right.
How in your opinion are electrical systems evolving to support more sustainable, smart, high performance?
I think that the average home consumes more power than it used to. I like to see the solar power panels on top of roofs, but it's not going to solve the problem. I think that if you miniaturize HEPTEG and you put it individual home, that would help. I we need more power. I mean, there's just you can get into the data center stuff and everything, and that's great, but the average person consumes much more power than what we used to. I mean, I just look around my room right now. I've got four lights on, a fan going. I'm on the phone with you. The coffee makers. You see my point? It's just we, our entire existence is about electricity. Without it, we're screwed. So we need to come up with ways of making homes much more efficient. And I think that some of the smart homes, the computerized homes, where things can be turned off when it's not being used, things like it's power management, individual power management in the home itself. And I don't know if we're seeing that in the homes. I mean, nowadays homes are built so quick, they're looking at profit too. Like the Lennar homes, they're building in Homestead like left and right, but they're not building a smart home, they're just building homes. So I think more planning needs to be done. We build things so fast nowadays, and then we let everything else catch up, and then I think that causes much more problems. We need to do a much better way of planning, not just energy consumption, but home efficiency. Um, it's nice to have these like star ratings for your washer, but if you got your washer going plus five different TVs in the house, plus three touch cell phones, oh, and your car's being charged in the garage, that's an awful lot of power. And then people get shocked when they get their bill.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So you might have actually just answered my next question. So technology, it's advancing faster than planning. Homeowners and builders want EV chargers, as you mentioned. There's solar battery backups, but then often underestimate what's actually required, right? So
Yeah.
they're surprised all of a sudden. But in your mind, what are the biggest mistakes you see homeowners, maybe architects, builders? What are the biggest mistakes they're making when adopting new energy tech?
I don't think they plan it out enough. I don't think that they take a true look at the technology and say, listen, let's think outside the box. Everybody wants to follow. Oh, this person's doing this, so we're all going to follow this. Instead of saying, listen, maybe if we took AI and built it into a home that could regulate the home's energy, can regulate, how the energy is used, then that's something to take a look at. I mean, if we could, everybody's into AI, let's make AI actually work, not just writing the press releases or whatever. I mean, you see my point. I mean, it's all about planning. It's all about sitting down and thinking realistically, how can we do this and build a better home? Now
Certainly.
they just want, hey, I'm going to build this home as cheap as I can, and then I'm going to sell it to you, and then it's going to fall apart.
Right. Yeah. So, how do those mistakes show up later during construction or operation?
Um, I got a buddy of mine whose cabinets, he just bought his house a year ago, and his cabinets are falling off. It's just quality. It comes down to quality. There's an old Cuban saying that says, buy cheap, buy twice. And it makes so much sense. If you invest in the home with quality materials and quality, true planning, and your electrical system set up so that it is efficient, then you're much better off than having to come back to it. But they sell the home, and then suddenly it's the homeowner's problem, and the homeowner gets like, oh crap, now I got to pay for this, and I got to pay for that, pay for this, pay for that. Why shouldn't I just rent? I mean, down here, there's tons of homes that are empty because people can't afford to buy them. So they jack up the price, but the quality hasn't changed. I think that if we plan things out properly and say, okay, look, let's build a real home, something that's going to last, but that's going to be the developer, because the developer wants to cut costs wherever he can. And I get that point too. I mean, businesses are in business, well, to make money, but you can still make a lot more money eh, by selling quality. That makes
Right.
sense?
No, it makes tons of sense. The quality and craftsmanship goes a long way, and then proper planning to implement these tools and this tech to save in the long run, as far as a longer cycle, makes absolute sense.
Yeah, it's everybody needs to start working together. Energy companies, builders, everybody. It needs to be an integrated process of how we continue to expand communities, how we continue to expand the human race in general. We can't keep going the way we're going. I mean, you go up to Broward County and everything's nicely planned out. You come down to Miami and it's all about the developer. We don't care if there's like a shack right next door. We're going to build a really nice building. It's just it's the contrast is just amazing down here. And people think of Miami and they think of Miami Beach and stuff like that. That's not Miami. Miami, literally, you'll have this beat up POS place right next to this beautiful office building, and people, it works for some reason, and it's just like that's lack of planning. Same thing with energy efficiency and how we use AI and how we integrate everything together, where everybody's on the same page and we're all kind of marching towards one goal. We need to make houses more efficient. We need to make houses work smarter. Same thing with office buildings, same things with any of it, but all so that it benefits us so we can continue to go. Right now, everybody's like looking for profit. Hey, I don't care what it costs. I just want profit. And profit can't be the motivator.
Right. No, you're so right about, the aspect of planning, right? It's not just about planning as an individual or as a single company or entity. It's really about the infrastructure as a whole and being able to plan and collaborate all together.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Think of it as a group effort.
100%. And sometimes that's, especially when greed and money comes into to play, it's a little bit more difficult at that point.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with wealth. It's how you use it.
No,
I
certainly.
mean, I'll probably get very wealthy off of this. What I do with that wealth is what's more important. As long as we're trying to change something, as long as your intentions are good, or you're trying to do a good thing, there's nothing wrong with making money. There really isn't. But it's just, how is this going to benefit the world? How are you going to make a smarter home? But how do you make it profitable for the developer? That's easy. You build more homes that way. Then it becomes a quantity thing. The more equipment I have to buy to make that smart home, the less it costs. It's rethinking everything.
Absolutely. And not enough of that's being done for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got a good point.
So, Chuck, let's look ahead here. So, if we were to fast forward, say, 3 to 5 years, what major changes do you expect in residential electrification, smart home energy systems, and maybe building standards?
I think that for down here, it'll take a good hurricane going through here again until they realize that their building standards haven't been met. It's Andrew all over again. We wait a while, pretty soon people are getting paid off. It's the Miami way. And as for electrical, I can almost see homes generating their own power and then putting back into the grid what they don't use. That would be nice to see. So that each home is like one little part of everything. If you think of a radio telescope, you think of these big arrays, and they're not. They're just little arrays, but they all end up, all, them all together make one big one. And that's something that maybe we should look at, is that each home is part of the generating power for the entire community. One little piece. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I'm talking? I mean, like that's literally the best example I can think of is these radio telescope arrays. They're just one. There's one dish, but there's like 100 of them, and they all make up one array. Same thing with our electrolysis. It's each little individual pod makes up the pool. Same thing with homes. If each home is generating a little bit more power, say with HEFTEG or whatever they come up with, um, and they're all contributing to the whole, then we solve our power problem.
Right.
But big energy is big energy, and that's the big thing to unseat, to get them to do that. I mean, Florida Power and Light's pissed when they passed a law to be able to sell back electricity to Florida Power. That really irritated them. These people
Right.
started doing the home energy thing, the solar power. If it produces more, then the power company is required by law to buy it back. They weren't real happy about that.
Right. Right.
So it would
Yes.
have to be at a legislative level.
Yeah. So just to kind of unpack that then. So if everyone's able to contribute or pitch in just a little bit, it all of a sudden becomes abundant for everyone.
Exactly. Now, I'm not
Okay.
advocating free power. I mean, look, we're all here to make money. No, we're not doing that. It's just, there needs to be a rethinking of how things are done. How, maybe the power companies can own whatever it is that's producing the power at the home. Whatever, I don't know the whole. I haven't really gone down that rabbit hole yet, but trust me, I will tonight because you brought it up. Um, it's let's say my home consumes this much power, but I produce 10% more than what I'm consuming. So I put that back out into the grid, and each new home that's done, that's built, does the same thing. Now, how the power companies fit in, trust me, they'll find a way to fit it in there, but it can be done. So that maybe we need to decentralize. I guess that's what I'm really saying is decentralize power production and make it individual home that all contributes into the grid. That's one way to look at it. Man, I got to look into that. I got to write that down.
I'll be sure
Thanks.
to send you some clips of everything you're saying.
You'll be sending me an invoice going, hey, this was my idea, dude.
Hey man, let's flesh it out, right? Why not?
Exactly. That's
Okay.
actually something to look at. I mean, each home produces power and do a decentralized power. That may be a thing. When I originally when I was interviewing patent attorneys, that's actually got brought up. And in my head, I'm going, no, no, we need to make it huge. So, but HEFTEG can be scaled. I mean, it can be small, it can be large, it can be medium, it can be whatever it is, because it is modular in nature. So it can be for home use. I mean, I always thought big power plants because, I was like, well, that's the way we always did it. Maybe you're right. Next thing you know, I'm going to get this little form in the mail going, please sign here.
No, I love that. To have created an innovation, a technology
Hey, we
that
just came up with a
is quite
solution, dude. We should
versatile.
go for a beer.
Let's go.
Exactly.
I'll be in Miami in a couple months.
There you go. I'll have you flown down.
Awesome. I love it, Chuck. This is what it's all about though, right? Is be able to
Yep.
get these ideas out there and be able to really put them down on digital paper, but then also be able to expand on them and get your word out, which is
Listen,
what we're all
simpler
about.
things have happened. I mean, it. I started HEFTEG. I started TransElectric, and I figured I had a 90% chance of failure, and we're still standing. Why we're still standing, I have no idea because we never took federal funding. Well, we never fit into when you go for federal funding or grants, you have to fit into this like little box. And if you're outside that box, they deny you. So I never really got caught up into the federal funding part. So, when they pulled all the funding, everybody closed. I paid for it myself. So we're still here. We're still strong versus, oh God, now I've got to close the office because we never expanded. Everything
Mm,
with us is digital. It's digital offices. Everybody involved in this is always Zoom meetings. I'm doing it from home. I don't
mm,
need a huge office building and I don't need a Ferrari. What I need is HEPTECH built. And I need it so that we can get this thing moving. I'm not one
okay.
that I need a corporate jet. I'm happy where I live. I live in a studio apartment. I don't need, I would like a catamaran, but that's over there. But yeah, I didn't say I was
Get a
stupid. I just said I don't need all of it.
Just need a
So
catamaran
it's
with
about getting the
internet
job done.
connection.
Huh?
Just need a
Didn't
catamaran
hear
with
you.
internet connection.
Of course, because I'm rich and I can afford my own satellite. So if you just
There you
follow me.
go. Okay, so Chuck, so that kind of brings me up to my next point then. What are some of the real day-to-day challenges you guys are navigating, trying to scale up TransElectric?
Getting heard. Getting heard is our biggest thing. We're getting noticed. I mean, our traffic is higher. It's kind of like I think everybody's trying to figure us out. And I'm not a CEO. I'm not a businessman. I'm actually a paramedic by trade or by education, whatever. In fact, I still work as a
Really?
paramedic. Yeah, I don't know a damn thing about the business world. My father was corporate. So I just kind of fumble through things, and for some reason, it always works out. But I think right now, people are just trying to figure out, is this real? Is this guy really for sure? Or is he just full of shit? So it's like, look, I got the patents to back it. I got the analyzation to back it. I've done it through 2 AI platforms. I run the analysis. I'm trying to do a prototype now of the first portion to do a video to say, okay, here, see, we're real. Again, it's a very small voice in a very loud room, and it's going to take time. I mean, it's that consistency that gets you where you need to be. And
Right,
again, we're
right.
building a Chevy, not a Ferrari, and everybody wants the bells and whistles. Everybody wants fusion. Everybody wants this. And I went, I was asked to do a chair at the World Hydrogen Congress in Houston. And I talked to some of the big players, and I was like, "What's with these electrolysis things? You're saying a 1 megawatt electrolysis." I was like, "So you produce 1 megawatt of electricity?" And they're like, "No, we consume 1 megawatt of electricity." I'm like, "So let me get this straight. You're producing clean hydrogen by using this. Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose?" They didn't want to talk to me anymore after that. So it's an illusion. Some of this stuff is just an illusion.
Right.
Look, give me a break. Fossil fuel or, fusion generation is at least 20 years out. Nuclear, if you look at the expense, you still have to store the crap once it's spent. And it's, it's HEFTEG's a solution. I don't know any other way to put it. I can beat my head against the wall and go, look, I've got it right here. Start listening.
Right.
And, some do and some don't, but it is what it is. That's the biggest challenge is getting hurt. We're a very small fish, but we're still standing and we're going to get it done.
I love it, Chuck. I love that ambition, man, and I believe in it. You guys, it sounds like you guys have something that's real, and it sounds like it's something that's ready to be delivered to every community now.
It's a simple design. It's not, listen, I'm not just redesigning the wheel. All this stuff is off the shelf stuff. I mean, literally, if I can build a prototype out of a fish tank, we can get this thing done. Come on. I mean, we
Yeah.
put a man on the moon, supposedly. Just kidding, guys. Watch me disappear tomorrow. Um, you see my point? Look, we can if we just really got behind things, even if it's just producing power in the homes, if we really set our minds to it, we could get it done. But people get caught up in that whole I need federal funding to do this. I don't want to invest my company's money. It needs to come from the federal government. I hate to tell you this, but we're broke. So what's going to happen when the next administration comes in there and cuts all your funding? I mean, we're playing this yo-yo thing. So you look at like the light bulb that was, I think, financed by J.P. Morgan, is who financed Edison. So it's going to take big businesses, opening up their wallets and saying, okay, let's build these homes this way. Let's build, this way, and invest in the future. At the end of the day, you're going to get your money back, and you're going to get it back tenfold if you do it the right way. But everybody wants to look at the short term thing. We all live in an instantaneous society. I'm guilty of it too. I thought, man, they issued my very first patent. I thought people would be banging down my door and I'd be on my catamaran going, "Yep, I'm set." You know, Granted, we got two more patents, and that's great, but people still aren't knocking down my door. They're starting to pay attention because they don't have anything else. That's just it. They have absolutely nothing else in the drawing board except, solar power isn't profitable, wind is a joke, and it's all intermittent parts. And you can't do nuclear, you can't do fossil fuel. That's like taking a step back. If we're going to either move forward on stuff or we're not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that the lobbies paid for Trump's stuff, and that's why it's getting pushed.
Right.
It's changing legislation, it's changing government's mind, it's changing. There needs to be a lot of change. And I get change doesn't happen real quick, but it needs to speed up some because,
Right.
we're not doing too well
Yeah.
environmental wise.
Hopefully it doesn't take something drastic and catastrophic to change those minds, right? And hopefully they're able to turn that tide before that happens.
Best example, look at the hurricane that just hit Jamaica. 225-mile-an-hour winds. In all my 61 years, I've never seen a hurricane that powerful, ever. So there is change in there, and people want to muddy the waters and say, climate change isn't real and this and that. You know what? That's great. But I live in Miami, and I'm watching all the rich people move away from the coast. Rich people don't move from the coast unless there's a reason.
Right.
I live in a little Haiti, and when all the Haitians came over in the 70s, of course, they stuck them in the worst area of town because that's what we do. Anyway, long story short, they're doing a regentification because Little Haiti turns out sits on a ridge. I'm 14 feet above sea level. Everybody else is like 3 feet. So they're all flooding. So now all the wealthy want to move here. There's a reason why they're doing that.
Mm.
That
Oh,
makes
that's
sense.
oh, makes tons of sense, Chuck. Okay, so
Yeah.
Chuck, just to kind of bring us back here for a second, you had touched on it a couple times in the conversation already. So we're in a moment where even historically hands-on industries like electrical are leveraging digital tools, automations, and especially AI. Where do you see the biggest opportunities for technology or AI to improve, different electrical workflows, safety, maybe training, or project delivery?
In design, it'll come down to design. AI can definitely design it more efficient. Like, look, I way back in the day when I was like a young pup, I worked for an engineering firm as a draftsman. I was right out of high school. And then CAD came along. And then that kind of put us out of business. It's, AI can do so much efficient in design, is so much more efficient in design than anything else. I mean, it's phenomenal. Yeah, maybe they're going to take over the world. Okay, whatever. I can't do anything about that. I'll just go swim in the ocean or something and say hello. At the end of the day, it can do it much better. And I think that's where AI and a lot of these digital platforms will come through to fruition is through that because we can design things much more practical, more efficiently with better materials and uh, a lower cost. I mean, it costs a lot to have an engineer design stuff for you. For us to do our engineering bill, because I ran a estimate on how much it would be to build one pilot plant. Our engineering bill was going to be over $1 million
Wow.
just just to just to do the construction, design out whatever you want to call it. And I'm looking at that going, there's that much? It's look, I'm not designing, a Saturn V rocket. All I'm doing is just need to build this, construction drawings. Yeah, there's like $1,000,001. And I'm like, I bet you I could run this through AI, through a CAD machine, and I could do it probably for less than 50,000. So I can
Yeah.
see that coming to fruition. So,
Right. And then that transition or that savings in resources could be spent elsewhere.
right. But look at even designing homes. I mean, AI could design those to be efficient to produce its own power, whatever it means, even if it's not producing its own power, just to make it efficient. Again, I'm running 5 different lamps, a fan, and everything else. Just versus say 30 years ago, I didn't have a cell phone to charge. I didn't have, 5 lamps going, a fan plus the AC or whatever it may be. Homes in general just consume so much more power nowadays that we need to figure out how to do it efficiently. We need to design our homes so that they are efficient. However, they're not less convenient. Everybody likes their convenience. We're never going to get rid of that. Give me a break. I mean, I like my convenience. I love my cell phone. So does that make sense? Sorry.
Yeah, of course. No, hopefully we can be able to get the convenience as well as the efficiency, right? I think that's always going to be the goal.
But I think that's where the digital part and the AI and everything will come into play. It's going to come into the design itself. I don't see AI. I don't know. Maybe AI is going to run robots that are, going to build the house or whatever. Either either way, AI can still do a better job of designing it.
Right, especially with the amount of,
So
resources and um, different things to be able to reference as well, right? To be able to incorporate.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So, Chuck, as we wind our time down together here, you're working in an industry where the decisions that are made today will eventually shape the next generation of homes, communities, cities. If you could leave our listeners with one message, a challenge, or maybe a piece of advice, what would that be?
Try to improve the world. Don't look at it. Don't go for, like Denzel Washington said. Don't strive to make a paycheck. Strive to make a difference. And that's what we all need to be working for. How do I help you? Not how do I help me? How do I help you? And in turn, everybody's helping everybody. And I know this sounds utopian, but at the end of the day, we all need to like realize we're all on in the same boat, and we need to like start acting like we are. Not how can I screw you over so I can make money?
Yeah,
And I
that's
know it's
great.
probably not the ending you wanted, but it's just the way I feel. It's we need to start helping each other. We need to solve some of these problems and stop looking at the bottom line. The bottom
No,
line is going to be the bottom line either way.
no,
But
Chuck,
people are
that's
just
perfect,
looking at,
right? That we need a little bit
sorry,
more kindness and a little bit more generosity in this world.
exactly. Help your
Okay.
fellow guy. Isn't that what we're here for? To turn around and help the next guy. If I make a lot of money, you think I'm just going to go sit back and say screw you? No, I'm going to help the next guy in line. That's what it's all about.
Heck yeah.
I didn't realize how much $1 billion was until I heard it put in those seconds. Have you ever heard that
Nope.
about the million seconds versus the billion seconds?
Oh
You
yeah,
ever heard that analogy
the
where a million seconds is like 11.7 days and a billion seconds is like 37 years?
years. Yeah.
Imagine how much good I can do with 37 years worth of seconds. So
No,
that's
certainly.
and yeah, we
Okay,
need to
well,
we need to figure it out. So
I think you and yeah, and HEFTEG and TransElectric are gonna definitely be involved in getting us one step closer. This has been a truly outstanding conversation, Chuck. Love everything you're doing, everything you guys are about, and thank you for breaking down the the systems and the technology that you're trying to bring to the world.
hey, I appreciate you having me. I truly do, and it's my gratitude to you.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. And for those who want to learn more about TransElectric and HEFTEG, where's the best place to reach you?
Would be transelectriccorp.com with two C's. Because for some reason I put a second C and now everybody screws it up. Just come on by our website. It's transelectriccorp.com, or you can contact me through Charles at transelectriccorp.com,
Perfect.
and we'll send you all our materials.
Terrific. I'll be
Okay?
sure to pin those in the notes. And for everyone tuning in, if you guys have enjoyed this episode, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It helps amplify innovators like Chuck and supports the companies building a cleaner, smarter future. And until next time, automate the ordinary and scale the extraordinary. Peace.
Peace. Thank you, sir.